Good afternoon, everyone, to North Carolina's press conference. A couple quick announcements. Please silence your cell phones. Make sure to provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question. For the folks on Zoom, we'll get to you after we're through questions in the room. And recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. Today for North Carolina, we've got Lanie Grant, Reniya Kelly, and Indya Nivar. We'll start with questions. Go ahead and raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. Jeremiah, go ahead.
Jeremiah Holloway with Inside Carolina. For you guys, obviously you have West Virginia coming up tomorrow. I know that they're, points per game wise, a really stout defensive team. Based on what you guys know about them so far, what are some of the early challenges that they, present for any of you three?
Reniya, why don't you go ahead and start?
I'm going to say ball control. I think we really have to take care of the ball this game. Just limit the turnovers and try to score when we get to the quarter-court.
Lanie, you want to add anything?
Yeah, they have a couple really dynamic guards, so, playing really good group defense, making them play in crowds, stuff like that, kind of piggybacking, limiting turnovers in the backcourt. They press a lot, so just being and playing under control.
Doug Bonjour, Associated Press. A lot, of course, is made of their defense and how unique it is. Have you faced anyone similar to that, or anything you can compare it to? Or is this truly something new for you?
Indya, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think somebody similar is probably Duke. They pressure in the full court, man-to-man, but West Virginia, I feel like they're a little bit different. They're very sporadic in the way we just don't know which defense they're going to do at which time. But I feel like our teams in our conference have prepared us for this.
Anything to add, Reniya? Good? Come on, RL, you can do it.
R.L. Bonham, Tar Heel Tribune. Along those lines, you guys have had rock fights with Duke when they're a good defensive team as well. How will that be helping you guys in tomorrow's matchup in dealing with that sort of game?
Reniya, go ahead.
Like Indy said, this team is very different from Duke. I think they are very sporadic, like she said, but I think Duke also helped us just be prepared for the full court pressure. But as far as comparison, you really can't compare any team to West Virginia right now.
Anything to add, Lanie?
I would just say, we've been in a lot of close games, so we feel confident throughout. If it is a rock fight, then we're going to be confident. We have a lot of good senior leaders, as well as these two sitting next to me. So, playing under control, but yeah.
Different sort of question. When Lexi hit the fifth three-pointer on the sidelines, there was a little resuscitation from two players of another player. Can you comment on some of the activity there, some of the creative celebrations that we saw yesterday?
I feel like that just shows the personality of our team. We love each other so much and want to see everyone be successful. And I think what they were doing yesterday was just kind of just showing their personality and celebrating Lexi.
Do you guys practice that sort of thing?
No.
You're good.
Good. This one's for Lanie and then also for Reniya. So obviously, Lanie, coming in, this being your first year, just who are, some of the people, I guess, on this team specifically that you've kind of leaned on, for advice, things like that. And obviously, Reniya, you playing kind of a, similar position as her. What type of advice do you give Lanie being a, first year player who obviously is all the way at the tournament now and has some experience, but just kind of, can you just talk about, some of the, I guess, gems and things that you try to give to her?
Lanie, go ahead.
Yeah, my buddy is Alyssa, so for the entire experience of the tournament, I've leaned on her a lot, but I would say playing the guard position, like Kayla has really stepped up for me almost as like a second coach while I'm on the court if I have any questions, or she always has something to say in like timeouts or huddles, so she does a great job of keeping me calm. And then for me personally, as my starting point guard, I would even say Reniya, and I know she's only 1 year older than me, but she brings such a calming presence, so I know that if anything, yeah. But no, like, if I ever need anything, I just look over at her, and she's really good at grounding the team and getting everybody in the right spots. So.
Lanie, I'm really proud of you. I am. You know, I know missing your senior year in high school is like devastating. So, I think for Lanie, just trusting the work that she's put in. She's here for a reason, and she's here at this particular time for a reason. So I think just trusting the work that she's put in. She's still working hard to this day, and I think she's going to go far regardless of what she goes.
Tanner Mounts, U92 radar. There we go. This is a question for any of you. Everyone focuses on West Virginia's defense, but JJ Cornelius and Jordan Harris combined for 50 points. What do you guys see them doing offensively that could present some challenges as well?
India, you want to start with this one?
Yeah, both of those guards are very dynamic. They get to the paint, they hunt paint touches, and they're very crafty as well with the ball. So making sure we're crowding them, putting them in a crowd, I think is the best thing for us to do in this game. Putting them in a crowd, making sure that our players are not on islands.
Lanie, anything to add?
You know, taking away their primary tendencies, I think, is big. You know, Indy talked about making them play in crowds, but also, like, the shots that they do get, like, make them contested and make them hard, and maybe not their first option, making them go to their second or third options. We talked about, you know, trying to get the balls out of their hands, stuff like that, but, you know, Indy pretty much covered the most of it.
Cody Nesper, West Virginia Sports Now. For any of you guys, what do you expect the crowd to be like tomorrow? Obviously, it was good yesterday. And how much does being here, you know, help you in games like this?
Yeah, I think because the game is at 7 p.m. now, it's actually going to be a really, really good crowd tomorrow. And also, it means a lot. You know, obviously, we want to do this for the seniors. I think Alyssa, Lexi, Kayla, Maria, Grace, we want to do this for them. So the fact that they can play here their last game at our home gym is like amazing. So I'm just really happy for them.
Kate Shoemaker with the Daily Tar Heel. Lanie, you just mentioned moments ago about like Alyssa being your buddy. Is there a buddy system for this team? What does that look like, and how has Alyssa specifically kind of guided you through this March process?
Yeah, so everybody in the team in the beginning of the season was paired up with somebody, and I was fortunate enough to get Alyssa, and then we brought in Tisa, so we're like a trio buddy now that she joined the program. But Alyssa has been very grounding for me as somebody who's going on her 5th season here, and like this is my first, and I am a young player. Like, she knows the ins and outs of everything. She's been, you know, a great calming and also like motivating force. Like kind of what Reniya just said, like you want to do it for her, you want to do it for Lexi and all the seniors that have poured everything they have into this program. So as a younger player, like I have no option but to give my best every single possession on the floor because that's what they deserve and that's what, you know, like I want to give them. So
Down in front.
Justin Jackson with the Dominion Post. I'm wondering if you guys can kind of explain to me the season that Maria has had. There's obviously been games where she's dominated and then games where, you know, maybe foul trouble or other issues and injuries, obviously. And now she's come back and it looks like she might be able to play a very pivotal role for you guys tomorrow. So I'm just kind of wondering if you guys can sum up what she's meant to you guys throughout the year and the role she could play tomorrow.
India, you want this one?
Oh, yeah. It's hard because Maria's like my big sister, and I just seen her grow so much from last year. She plays an important role on our team. She rebounds, she makes crucial plays. And, you know, those days where she gets in foul trouble, that's just she's putting it on, she trusts in us that we're going to make up when she's not on the court. But I don't know, I feel like she deserves so much more credit, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like she's done a great job this year and setting herself up for the future.
And the role she plays tomorrow against West Virginia?
Yeah, a big role. I don't think anybody can really guard her in the country, so just making sure we're feeding her the ball in the best position, and she's just going to do what she does.
Anything else for our student athletes? Alrighty, thank you, ladies. We'll go ahead and move along with head coach Courtney Banghart. Questions?
Doug Bonjour, Associated Press. Again, on the topic of defense, how do you kind of go about preparing that for something that's, that you don't always see all the time, court press?
Yeah, there's a rhythm that you have to play with each game, and it was very different than the rhythm we had to play against yesterday. So there's an element of you can prepare through film and through understanding angles, and then they've got to kind of play through it a little bit, right? We played against pressing. Obviously Duke did more man-to-man press, whereas like a Syracuse and did more of a zone press. So and then we play against our guys. I mean, we had all last week to prepare for pressure, so it's sort of like a zone defense or a man-to-man defense. Everyone's defense is a little different. Their schemes are a little different. So you can't really practice it to perfection. You can prepare for it. And so that's what we've done through film, and we did last week, and knowing that we might play a team like this. And then we've got practice time today to spend on it. But the great thing about March is that you don't need to reinvent yourself. I know everyone talks about March being your new season. As I told them yesterday, I don't want a new season. I want this season, right? And so this is a continuation of the season of work they've already put in. And so, partly how we win this game is how we play on both sides of the ball together, regardless of what the other team is doing, and play to our strengths. So we're just going to continue that, kind of the way who we are, and put ourselves in the best position to be successful.
On that note, you must feel fortunate to have the experienced guard play you have.
Yeah.
Has to help, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially having Reniya back, and Grace has played for 5. This is her 5th year. Obviously, Lexi's 5th year. Alyssa's a ball handling perimeter player as well. So we've got a lot of experience. Indya is a junior at the guard spot. Yeah, helps us a lot.
Kate Shoemaker with the Daily Tar Heel. Courtney, obviously ball protection is a key for this game. What are some practical things you can do to limit turnovers when they're so scrappy on defense?
I think part of it is that, again, I'm not the one playing against it. So whereas there's times where I might beat it with pace, other times I might beat it with the dribble, other times I might beat it by a kind of a pass back to quick reversal to up the floor. I've got to show them the various, how to utilize the court, quite honestly, through angles and through our bodies well. And then they have to read that possession accordingly. Because as you take one dribble up the court, the angle is not as good in one way, and the angle's better in another way. If you take a dribble towards the middle of the court, you're shrinking one angle one way, but you're increasing an angle another way, right? So it's not as much that they do this, we do this. It's understanding how to utilize the angles on the court to use their pressure against them and get great shots for us.
Down here to the left.
Daniel Woods, WV Metro News. Coach, WVU in Mark's first 2 seasons, it's unprecedented. This is the first time they've won 50 games across 2 seasons. So from a coach's perspective, watching from afar, what can you, add in terms of perspective to what he's been able to accomplish so quickly? Yeah,
we played them when they were at SFA. One of my years, I think it was when I was here, but we played Stephen F. Austin, and when he was their head coach there, and they were really good. I think it was the year we went to the Sweet 16. I think we played them first. And so they didn't press as much then. They played more of a 5-out, so it shows he can coach in a lot of different ways. The thing, what I really have to mention is how hard it is to win one game, much less 50, right? And so, as I always say, everybody gives scholarships, everybody recruits, everybody puts their time in. So you don't just get to win because you want to. You have to go find a way, and he has found a way 50 times in 2 years to beat the team on the other side of the ball. It's not easy, and you have to win a lot of different ways, right? How we won, was it yesterday, Oregon State, is going to be different on how we have to win against WVU, right? And he's had to do that 50 times. And so, especially at a new place, you've got to kind of figure out that place pretty quickly. What's attractive to the student athletes at that place? What are the pressures at that place? And so he's navigated that really well, which is what's so great about March. There's such small advantages because everybody's so good, coaches, players. That's what makes it so special.
Quinn Roby, U92 Radio. How do you, on a short turnaround, prepare for the 2 guards in Jordan Harris and J.J. Quinterly, the way that they can play defense and also score at a high rate?
You just thank your ACC counterparts, right? Try guarding Tanaya Latson and Omira Gordon. Try that out for size, right? And then try to guard Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo. Try that, right? And then go try to guard Isaiah James and Sanaya Rivers and Zoe Brooks, right? I mean, these are, I just named 10 first-round draft picks, right? So that isn't that different, honestly. You have really good guard play in March. You have really good guard play on ranked teams. And so they're hard to guard. So you're going to have to be really good defensively, both on the 1v1, 2v2, all the way down to 5v5. So, fortunately, I give a lot of credit to our ACC counterparts, right? I've had to prepare for elite guard play, I feel like, all year. So it's another opportunity to do so.
Coach Justin Jackson with the Dominion Post. Just obviously, games aren't always played on paper, but just looking at some of the roster, I mean, it seems like you guys have a pretty good size advantage maybe going into this game. So I'm just kind of, what kind of role could that play? And certainly with Maria inside in the lane, what could her role be for tomorrow? Yeah, we call Maria the problem because she's a real problem 1v1. So playing out of double teams means you're leaving other guys open, right? Also, if you're going to be really aggressive in passing lanes, you're not in gaps. So those passing lanes into the post should be easier. They weren't as easy against Oregon State because they played more of a sagging defense, right? So there was a crowd in there. They want to crowd the perimeter and make it really difficult. That means there's going to be more space in the interior. And so that's kind of a little bit of the gamesmanship, right? Is where are our advantages based on how they want to play, just like they're going to find their advantages on how we like to play. But Maria is a problem, and she needs to continue to do so in order for us to continue to be successful.
Hey, Courtney, R.L. Bynum, Tar Heel Tribune. The game at Chapel Hill with Duke was obviously a big rock fight. How is going through a game and having that experience maybe help against a team that's probably as good defensively? And how is their defense different than what you saw against Duke or perhaps other teams?
Yeah, I mean, Louisville, I was thinking on the road, that was a rock fight. We played them a couple weeks ago, it feels like. And they've got, Jada Curry and who's and Taj Roberts, who, and then they turn around and pick you up right off the ball. So I think it's probably a little bit more similar to Louisville, maybe, with some concepts of Syracuse. On a miss, when they get into their full court man, that's a little bit more like Duke. So they're all a little different. Duke is more athletic in the post spot, so they can switch out on everything. That's not what West Virginia is going to do, right? Louisville is more like West Virginia because Louisville is a little bit, they're really guard-oriented. They're smaller, right? So, I think it's more that our kids have had to navigate a variety of pressures. They've had to guard a variety of skilled players. They've had to deal with a lot of different attacks. Just like I'm not as familiar with the Big 12, but I'm sure that's what West Virginia gets to lean on too. They get to lean on their body of work and their body of experiences. And so, I didn't watch them and think they're that similar to Duke, quite honestly, because it's Duke's it's Duke's post athleticism that allows them to switch out and keep bodies in front of the ball. This is more guard trappy, guard back tap, guard, so more like a Louisville, actually.
Ashley, you were probably too busy to see it, but when Lexi hit the fifth three-pointer, Blanca hit the floor with her back to the court, and Sydney and one other player resuscitated her. What does that say about your team that you have these creative sorts of celebrations and everybody's celebrating each other?
Big time. Yeah, that's how they are in practice too. I mean, I don't know if they do exactly that, but there's a lot of moments of passion, right? And I hope that's something that they see the importance of. I think I always say that you got to out team and out tough to win in life, right? You got to be a good teammate and you got to be tough. And those type of moments are showing you that we're out teaming, right? We're celebrating team success, even if you're not directly a part of it. And so, I think we promote that in practice. We shouldn't be doing things that are exciting and doing things that are disappointing on an island, right? That's like not the way life is to be lived. So yeah, we talk about out teaming with passion and out playing with toughness a lot.
Is that sort of celebration organic?
Oh yeah, I know. I haven't seen it. I heard about it when you guys asked the players. they're certainly not doing that where they're not spending practice time doing it. I don't know what they're doing in the privacy of their own time, but anything that involves passion, I'm a fan of.
Kate Shoemaker with the Daily Tar Heel asked Lanie a minute ago about the buddy system and how important that has been for her, especially with how young she is. Is that something that you implemented when you first got here? Can you kind of explain that and how you go about pairing people with their buddies?
Yeah, pretty thoughtfully. You have sometimes, I think it's a good life skill to have to care about somebody else, right? And I think sometimes, especially in team sport, we make a lot of assumptions. We make a lot of assumptions that everyone understands the value of team. Yet you come into the world alone and you leave the world alone, right? So, except for my twins, ironically. So I think how you learn how to be a teammate is actually a skill, right? And it starts with how do you take care of one person, right? And then once you learn how to ask about them. So in other words, if you don't do well in a test, your buddy should know that. I should be able to ask your buddy what's going on in your life, and they should know, right? So we teach them how to take care of and care about and be responsible for one person, right? And then maybe you have double dates with a couple other buddy groups to then do it in group. But there's just value in that. And so how we put them together is pretty thoughtfully, I knew how Lanie's wired is pretty similar to Alyssa, which is both good and sometimes has challenges, right? They hold themselves to a relentless standard that can suck the joy out of you if you're not careful, right? And so those two have some things to navigate. So it's good that they're together, right? Other people might have different similarities or differences where they can counteract each other. So it's not random, like most of what I do. It's pretty thoughtful. And I know that's one thing they look forward to every year. Who's my buddy, right? But yeah, I brought that with me, and it's been a big part of our team.
Tar Heel Tribune. Obviously, a lot of elements will go into making a big run, but how important is making the perimeter shot? You basically only made a lot of them in the third quarter when you pulled away. Do you think you have to be really good from the perimeter to make a run?
I think against a team like Oregon State, where they have 3 people with 2 feet in the paint at every position, every single possession, your advantage, you're at 4-on-2 on the perimeter, right? So against them, that's the shot they're asking you to make, right? I think against West Virginia, it might not matter how well you shoot, right? It's a high risk, high reward. So if you handle their risk, you get a high reward, right? And so whether that's post feeds, whether that's layups, beating pressure, whether that's free throws, any time the ball goes in the basket, it's a positive outcome. So if that means you shoot well, there's going to be higher percentages of positive outcomes. But I think different teams provide different openings more freely. And against Oregon State, they had 2 people where literally they never left the paint on defense. No matter if you went to the bathroom, they'd stay in the paint, right? And so, we had to stretch them out. I think West Virginia will be a little bit different. But we'd also like to shoot well. Anytime you shoot well, you win, right? So if we shoot well with how we defend, we should win a lot of games.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
You got
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, thanks.
Oh, you're killing me. Oh, the moment's passed.